How to Fix a Broken Foot by Joe in Real Life. I'm going to switch gears a little bit today. I'm going to try and keep my crying about my mama to a minimum and discuss a practical matter, which is injury. First things first, I'm going to state the obvious. The Rice method, rest, ice, compression, elevation, that shit does not work. Doesn't work at all. The guy who came up with Rice, this happens a lot in science, the guy who comes up with a theory that gets snatched by pop culture, he was among the first to state that it doesn't work. I think it was like 18 months later. He was like, hey, it's good for pain relief, but it's not great for healing. At best, it does nothing. At worst, it slows healing. So what do? Well, you do kind of what I'm doing right now. You just walk on it. You just use it. Movement, as they say, is medicine. Blood flow, that's how you heal. Constricting blood flow is absolute lunacy. And rest, well, every single one of those things in Rice constricts blood flow. It prevents the ready flow of nutrient and nourishment to the afflicted area. Not a good strategy. Again, good for pain, at least on some level. So if you're having extreme pain, okay, sure. Or if it's a catastrophic injury, sure. But otherwise, like my big toe is crushed. Those of you who are long time viewers of the channel will know in my first iteration of this, I broke my foot, the other foot, and I just worked on it. I just walked and worked. I gave it no special attention or treatment. I did not see a doctor. This injury is far less severe than that one. But my toe's broken, for sure. And, nothing for it. Just get on it. Just walk on it. It hurts. It sucks. It's going to cry and cry and cry all day. But also, there are pain strategies that don't involve indulging the worst aspects of your character. Like, maybe just sit. Maybe just sit and feel your pain. And, try to unpack it cognitively. That sounds like some woo bullshit. But, what else can you do? So much in life is this way. You can try to avoid it. And with social harms, that's possible to a degree. But almost every physical ailment, if there's a way past it at all, you've got to go through it. And so that's what I'm doing. Through. I'm going to pull my sled. I'm going to do my squats. I'm feeling a little better today, if I'm totally honest. A measure of surrender has come to me. And what can you do? What can you do with your pains? You got a heavy heart and a swollen foot. Do your job, right? I don't know that it's the best strategy, but it's all there is. I'm here. I have to do this. So do it I will. That wasn't especially profound. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. Hey, nothing for it. Not every day you're going to change the world with your thoughts and feelings, right? You hurt yourself, walk it off, as Coach used to say. I'm going to pull that sled and I'm going to get some weight on my back. Stay tuned. Well, that was this morning. I had the bright idea of postponing my voiceover until later, and I'm at work now. I um I'm just so fucking sad, guys. I'm so sad. And I don't know what to do. And like I'm looking at my posture. This is at 3 times speed. That's the posture of a sad man right there. That's the posture of a man that cannot bear the burden of what's happening. And who among us can? You know? Our moms die. Everybody's moms die. Oh, it's just so awful. I'm just broken. So, I'm at work right now, and I have a staff meeting later. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. I might just hang out in a public park and smoke cigarettes and cry. Talking tough about how to heal your broken toe, right? Not so tough now. Look at me. It's just hard. It's just hard. Everyone's mom does die. That is true. But when it's your mom, it lands different. And I got some messages from an aunt and uncle today about my mom and how she refused the abdominal feeding tube and took a nasal one instead, which is less good, let's be clear, but it's still better than absolutely nothing. I was polite enough. I don't know. Who among us can handle this? What do we do from here? You know? It's just grief and misery is such a strange thing. When you're not in it, it feels so distant. It feels so detached. And when you're in it, it's the only thing that's real. Like, I can't have a conversation. Truly, I cannot have a conversation with a coworker without feeling like they're putting me out in some way. Without feeling like they're asking more than is socially allowed. And I know that isn't true. And these warring parts of the mind spill out. I don't know how to say things, regular things, like, Toby, my mom's dying, and I'm sorry I snapped at you, you know? It's what I want to say, and it's easy enough to say here in this voiceover, but I somehow can't say it in the moment. It doesn't make sense, you know? Context is everything. I hate this time. We don't know. We don't know how long my mom's going to live. It could be a couple weeks. It could be a year. I mean, what do you do with information like that? How do you winnow it? It models everything you are, everything you're ever gonna be. My girlfriend and I are going to visit my mom, and there's an expectation that I bring my children, but that just isn't going to happen. There's, to say nothing of the resources, they barely know her. My son, who's older and does remember her, is weirdly heartbroken. Although I don't know why that's weird to me. It shouldn't be. He's sensitive like his daddy. It makes some sense across the board. How do we deal with this? How does anyone deal with it? To think that this has gone on for all of human history. And here we are, still stumble bumming through it. We can set a broken bone, we can treat the common cold, but we can't do anything about this. Yeah. I'm sick with grief. Absolutely sick with it. This is Joe in real life. I love you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Sorry.